Turning now to Hawaii, where a jury has reached a verdict in the Baby Medicine Manslaughter Trial after deliberating for 7 hours and 13 minutes over 3 days. Defendant Dixie Villa is accused in the overdose death of 7-month-old Abigail Lobisch. According to court documents, an autopsy revealed that Lobisch, who was under Villa's care when she died, had a fatal amount of the drug Benadryl in her system. Let's go in now together to hear the verdict.
Ms. Villa, good morning. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, good morning to you all, and thank you all very much for your cooperation from the first day of this proceeding up to now. We understand the jury has reached a verdict, so will the foreperson please rise. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
Yes.
Have you signed and dated the verdict form?
Yes.
Can you please hand them over to Monty? You may have a seat, sir. Counsel, Ms. Villa, please stand. Madam Clerk, would you please read the verdict?
In 1 FFC 19-759, State of Hawaii versus Dixie Denise Villa. As to the charge of manslaughter, we, the jury, in this case, find the defendant, Dixie Denise Villa, guilty as charged of the offense of manslaughter. Special Interrogatory 1. If you find defendant Dixie Denise Villa, also known as Denise Villa, guilty of an offense, you must answer the following question. Did the prosecution prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the offense was committed against a child by a person that had legal or physical custody of that child? Your answer to this question must be unanimous. Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Cowell, any request to poll the jury?
Yes.
Panel, we have a request to poll the jury to make sure that
3 days to find her guilty of manslaughter. Joining me now to break all this down, Miguel Custodio and Bob Bianchi. Thank you both for being with me. What a day. 3 days to get to a guilty verdict on the highest count, the manslaughter. What are your thoughts, Miguel?
Well, I'm surprised that it took the jury this long. Based on all the evidence that was presented, it didn't seem like there was any other person to blame. She was the only one, and she had 4 children that she was caring for. There was nobody else that they could blame, and so they came to the reasonable conclusion.
I think so too, and Bob, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. There was no one else to blame. She had the baby. The levels of the baby were this amount. They were more than twice the lethal dose. Nobody was there within the time frame that there was testimony it would have taken for that to kill an infant. What are your thoughts about this verdict?
One of the difficult things, Judge, when you're assessing these cases, and I think we've talked about this for many years, is that we never get an insight into what the plea offer in the case was. So we don't know what the prosecution was offering. Sometimes they make an offer. I did this in many murder cases where I'm like, I'm not going to plea bargain a murder case. You either plead to the indictment or you go to trial. Under those circumstances, the defense is forced to go to trial with the hope that maybe somehow I can convince 1 of 12 people to feel bad for her and hang the jury. I don't think that they were expecting an acquittal. So I think that that is what is at play here. 7 hours does not overwhelm me in terms of jury deliberations. I got to go in. They've never done it before. They want to give the defendant a fair opportunity. They're meeting for the first time and discussing the case for the first time. So the timing doesn't surprise me. But I think that the defense was put in this position. Last point, I got to be honest with you. As a homicide prosecutor, these kind of cases broke my heart. They really did. I mean, a young baby is dead. But by the same token also, and don't call me a softie, Judge, it just is the way it is. This woman did not wake up that day with the intention of killing this baby. Obviously, if she did, she'd be charged with a higher offense. And now her life and her family's life is ruined too. It's just a terrible tragedy all around.
It is, and I would agree with you. That's why it's a conviction for manslaughter, a neglectful act. She probably thought, oh, I'm going to calm the baby down and give the baby something she should never have given the baby. That, I think, is what happened. Now, the jury has been excused, and the judge and the attorneys are back on the record. So let's go back inside court.
All right, let the record reflect the absence of the jury, except for counsel and Ms. Villa. You folks may have a seat. As to the matter of bail, prosecutors.
Your Honor, at this time, we are asking the court to increase bail and take the defendant into custody. The court in this case had previously reduced bail back in 2020. We are asking the court to impose $500,000 now that the jury has found the defendant guilty as charged with manslaughter. That was the initial bail set. We believe it's appropriate given the jury's verdict in this case. Further, would note that the defendant is currently pending misdemeanor theft charges in district court. Given that, we believe an increase in bail is appropriate.
Ms. Cowell.
Your Honor, we're just asking the court to allow Ms. Villa to remain on release status. She has remained arrest and conviction free. I understand there is a pending charge, but she is, of course, presumed innocent unless and until the government proves that she's guilty. She does request time to gather her things, end her lease, and mail her things to her mother in Florida.
All right. All right, now that the jury has returned with the guilty verdict based on everything else regarding this case, the court is granting the state's request to increase bail to $500,000. All right, you may have a seat, Ms. Field. Counsel, all right, next thing here is sentencing schedule.
Your Honor, before
Yes.
we do that, we are moving for mistrial and asking for a new trial. Yesterday, the government gave us evidence that Anna Lobisch lied on the stand regarding co-sleeping with her child. And we believe that this greatly affects the trial. In addition, this morning I was texted information from a potential witness who says that she gave the Honolulu Police Department various documents showing that Anna Lobisch needed to see a doctor for mental health reasons. That was never turned over to us. I heard of it the first time this morning at 6 a.m. via this text message. She sent me screenshots. I asked her to email me the information. We believe that given Anna Lobisch's credibility, this greatly affects the trial, and so we're asking the court to declare a mistrial and grant a new trial.
Ms. Prosecutor.
Your Honor, this is appropriate for a motion for a new trial, which is now that we have taken the verdict and the defense can file its appropriate motion. We did turn over under our obligation the Hawaii Rules of Professional Conduct. The state does have more information to turn over. Our state was in the process of sending another letter over as well as redacted discovery before the court called for this verdict. So we will continue to comply with our obligations under Hawaii Rules of Professional Conduct, but this is right for a motion for a new trial.
All right, Ms. Cowell, file a motion.
Will do.
Okay, all right. In the meantime, for now, sentencing schedule is going to be on February 26th, right? 26, 2000, at 8:30. So, Ms. Villa, you are ordered to cooperate with the probation officer that will be in touch with you and prepare and pre-sentence report. And of course, the court will await filing of the motion for a new trial from your attorney, and then we'll schedule a hearing on that motion once the court is in receipt. All right, counsel, anything else?
Not from the state.
Not from the defense.
Then we are adjourned.
Well, this is an unexpected bombshell. Miguel, Bob, still with me. Let me start with Bob, former head prosecutor. As you hear that, hey, hold the phone, we have a verdict, but now there's more evidence. The state's just provided that they've just received, number one, that mom, who was a witness, was co-sleeping with the baby. Co-sleeping causes babies' deaths every single year. I could tell you all about that. It's not a good thing. But number two, the other was, hey, there's evidence that there was a witness who gave documents saying mother need mental health treatment. So they're saying credibility of the mother, that witness is out the window. We want a new trial. Bob, talk to us.
Oh, boy, Judge. Listen, this is going to come down to an evidentiary hearing, and we're going to have to make a determination, or the court's going to have to make a determination as to whether or not the failure to disclose this information was done willfully by the government. And if, in fact, that is true, you are exactly correct. The defense was entitled to have this information to impair the credibility of the mother, who is a crucial witness in this case. I say this all the time, doing this legal analyzing on court TV and other places where it's not just enough to win a case. You have to sustain it through appeal as well. And when you see sloppiness like this, and again, I'm not going to point the finger. I don't know when the government became aware of this, but if there were records in the possession of the government, and she also said, the prosecutor, may I add, I have other stuff that has yet to be disclosed, I have to ask, why don't you do this? As a prosecutor, before you try a case, you make sure the defense has all of the information so this very thing does not happen. Last point, Judge. Why did the defense not argue this in the bail motion? They could have argued that this gives a reason that there could be a substantial appellate issue, and therefore she should be released. It's just a shame all the way around.
I agree, because I was surprised when that came out. I'm like, well, as an afterthought, by the way, Miguel, you're a trial attorney, and I did hear the defense say that the prosecution has new evidence that they are giving us. So let's assume it's above the board. They get new evidence they're giving. But as a trial attorney, what does it do when all of a sudden you have all this new stuff at your feet after you already have a decision on the actual trial?
Well, it definitely makes you think about everything in a new light, right? So you have to have time to analyze all this information. And so I really think that this information should have been sent to the defense, and there should have been some time for everything to process. So I do think it was sloppiness, and we see that often. And as a result, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens at this evidentiary hearing.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the judge said, okay, file that motion for a new trial in Hawaii. That must be the correct way to handle a circumstance like this. Certainly, Court TV will bring you any updates, because I was a bombshell I wasn't expecting at the end of the conviction of the babysitter on the charge of manslaughter.